Oh, it's so dark. Okay, let's run with it, shall we?
Ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Will, and this is kind of a weird one. As you can see, I'm not home right now, so I'm traveling for work this weekend, and I needed something to do, so I was going to wait to do the episode 3 spoiler review for Loki after episode 4 came out, because it kind of ended like a weird two-parter sort of deal, but I've got time to kill. What the hell? Let's do it now. So this is my spoiler review for Loki episode 3, titled Lamentus. This is a spoiler review, so if you haven't watched the episode yet, please pause the video, go watch the episode, and then come back and check out my thoughts on the episode. It was a very revealing episode, and it was actually it was a lot smaller in terms of the scope of the story. It's also one of the shortest episodes. I think it clocks in a little over 36 minutes or so, so there's not a lot that happened, but we get some really big revelations about the TVA and about our Lady Loki, aka Sylvie, who is the name that she would prefer to be called. So this episode picks up immediately after the events of episode 2, where Sylvie had released all the reset charges throughout the timeline, basically beginning to create a new multiverse with all the different resets charges going off, completely bombing the timeline, sending the TVA into a tizzy. This was all a distraction for her to get to the TVA in order to take out the Time Masters and to kill them, because she has a very legit grudge over the Time Masters and the TVA. Of course, Loki followed her through the time portal, returning to the TVA, and confronts her, but they're also confronted by some of the Minutemen, which Sylvie's able to dispatch very easily. And as Sylvie and Loki kind of go back and forth, a little bit of altercation between the two of them, they end up escaping the TVA after Judge Renslayer shows up with her Minutemen, and Loki transports them to a planet known as Lamentus, which is another apocalyptic event, which Sylvie actually points out is the worst apocalyptic event to be on. And the whole episode is about them trying to work together to get off of Lamentus, because the actual time pad has lost its charge, so they're stuck. They need to get off before the apocalyptic event comes to pass. And of course, the TVA can't track them because it is an apocalyptic event. As we learned in episode 2, doesn't affect any sort of variant in the timeline when it's in an event such as that. So they're stuck, they need to find a way out, and we get some good conversations between Sylvie and Loki, with Sylvie kind of eventually breaking down her own backstory a little bit to Loki, whereas Loki kind of laid it all out for Sylvie, trying to get her to work with him in order to achieve his goal. But Sylvie clearly doesn't like Loki and doesn't even like being called a Loki. She is a Loki, but she prefers to be called Sylvie. She doesn't like the moniker of Loki. She doesn't like anything about Loki. And they really call each other on their bullshit, and we get a good understanding more of what Sylvie can do, because she uses enchantments to possess other people's minds and take control of them and to get information. That's what she did with the Minuteman officer. I forget the code name for her, but we see at the beginning of the episode she's using her enchantment to try to convince her to tell her all the information she needs to attack the Time Masters. And one of the big revelations and kind of proof positive that the TVA is full of shit is basically Sylvie confirming that every person working at the TVA is another variant. They're not actually created by the TVA or the Time Masters. They are variants, just like Loki, just like Sylvie, but none of them know that, which would explain why Morbius has such a fascination for jet skis, because he probably used to own a jet ski. So it's and they all come from Earth, which is another interesting little factoid that Sylvie kind of dropped a bomb on Loki, which brings me to understanding 2 possible theories that the series is going to. I'll talk about them towards the end of the video. They realize they need to try to escape on this arc that's leaving the planet, but according to the time records, the arc never leaves the planet. It's destroyed, and that's what causes everyone to die, basically. But they're going to try to make the Ark leave no matter what. So they make their way onto the passenger train that's taking them to the Ark. They have to work together in order to do that. Loki uses some of his illusionary trickery to make himself look like a guard, but that only gets them halfway, where Sylvie has to enchant another guard to let them go aboard. And during their conversation on the train, we also get confirmation of what's already been known in the comics. Loki is hinted at being at least bisexual, if not pansexual, like he is in the comics. And it is in the comics, it is canonically that Loki is pansexual or bisexual. I think the show is probably going to go with bisexual. Just the way that when Sylvie was hinting that Loki has had relationships with princesses and other princes, and Loki responded with a bit of both, which is just clear cut that he is confirming gender fluidity and being queer, this is one of the first major queer characters confirmed in the MCU in its long history, so it's well overdue. But I think that was a nice touch. I'm glad they're allowing Loki to kind of flex his muscles. He flexes his muscles a lot in this episode too. Towards the end of the episode, when the planet is starting to break apart and buildings are crashing and they're trying to get to the Ark, he literally reverses time by catching a falling building and throwing it back up into place. Where was that in like the Avengers movie or in any other part of any movie or cameo he's had besides just shape-shifting? It's like, dude, that's some serious power. And I'm very curious as to why he was nerfed so much up until this point, because this is the Loki that just attacked Earth in Avengers, and he just got pummeled by Hulk. So where was this sort of power? So I'm wondering, I'm confused about that, but I'm glad we're getting more of his abilities being shown, which is a nice touch. There's this really beautiful, like, kind of continuous shot of them trying to escape the city towards the Ark, and all these buildings are falling and debris and meteorites are hitting the surface, and it's all one shot. If there are any breaks, they're very subtle and it looks beautiful. It's a really cool sequence towards the end of the episode. And the episode unfortunately ends on a cliffhanger with the Ark being destroyed as it was written in the timeline, and both Loki and Sylvie just looking completely despondent and completely broken at that point, because they're pretty much doomed. We know they're not, because this is only episode 3 and there's still 3 more episodes. So I'm very curious to see how they're going to get off the planet, or how they're going to get out of the situation at this point. So I was going to wait until episode 4, because this episode ended on a cliffhanger, and I felt like that it seemed like there wasn't, like, I would kind of want to wait for the 4th episode, but I got time, so I figured, why not talk about episode 3? So I like the episode. It's very short, though, and the cliffhanger ending kind of bummed me out a little bit, because I had to wait a week to see how they get out of the situation. But the fact that we get such a huge reveal that everybody at the TVA is a variant, it completely paints the TVA as the main villains of, and also why Sylvie is so dead set on killing the Time Masters and basically taking down the TVA. It's just going to leave a power vacuum for someone to take hold of. And piggybacking on what I said in the previous episode review about the TVA or the Time Masters not even being there, and somebody behind the scenes kind of being a puppet master, it could even be Renslayer doing it, or Renslayer is being manipulated as well. There's 2 main theories going around, and I kind of agree with either one. Either A, the person running the TVA behind the scenes is Kang the Conqueror, who we've already got confirmation is going to be an Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. This might even be the perfect place to introduce Kang into the MCU, and in that way he can go on to be the villain of Quantumania. The other more likely option, and it's not Mephisto, is that it's another Loki that has taken over the TVA and is trying to take out Sylvie, because the only person that could probably stop a Loki is a Loki. The same reason that our Loki, the one that was from Endgame, being brought in to stop Sylvie, it would make sense that another Loki would get this Loki to take out Sylvie, who's trying to take out that Loki, and the fact that every other Loki, there's a lot of Lokis I'm talking about, but the fact that the TVA even says in episode, I want to say 1 or 2, they even say the most variants that they have pruned or clipped have been Lokis. So why would that be a case if the person running it might be a Loki trying to take out the competition? It just seems like that's where this is leading to. And I know I've seen a lot of this chatter online, and I based off of this episode and the reveal that all the other people in the TVA are variants, the fact that Morbius has never met the Time Masters, and the only person really communicating to them supposedly is Renslayer. What if Renslayer is a Loki at this point? And it's just an illusion that Renslayer put up to, to kind of do this whole I'm getting rid of all the other Loki so no other Loki can take over what I've taken over. It just that seems like, for a show entitled Loki that is very fixated on multiversal versions of Loki, that the person running the TVA and the big bad is also going to be Loki.
Wow.
It's not Sylvie. We've already proven that Sylvie is not the big bad. And she's definitely an antagonist for our Loki, or the Endgame Loki. I'm going to call him Endgame Loki going forward. I think it's Endgame Loki, Sylvie, potential Loki at the end. That's what we're going to go with. But that's where I'm thinking we are leading to with these last 3 episodes. And there was an interview with Tom Hiddleston where he said episodes 4 and 5 are really key episodes to the series, where the series kind of goes in a completely different direction, so to speak. I believe that's what he said. But he said 4 and 5 are very important episodes. I would hope 5 would be an important episode, considering that's the penultimate episode before the end of the season. But I'm glad I'm talking about episode 3 now, just kind of getting episode 3 out of the way, because I did enjoy episode 3. I felt it was very short. I figured you could maybe give us a little bit of extra time. I'm hoping the last 3 episodes are a little bit longer for this series, because I'm really enjoying the series so far. The idea that this is all one huge narcissistic Loki versus Loki's type premise is fitting for the character. It's very fitting for the character. And I thought the episode was good. I love that shot at the end. I thought that shot at the end was fantastic. The continuous shot. I'm hoping we get more of that stuff. And I'm hoping we get to see Endgame Loki flex a little bit more with his power set, or maybe get some explanation as to why he was holding back for so long. And I do like Sylvie. I'm hoping for a little bit more backstory. And based off of, I think, the trailer for episode 4, we're going to get a lot of backstory for Sylvie. I think we see a younger version of Sylvie showing up at the TVA. We see the older version showing up at the TVA. So it fits the idea that this is rather Kang the Conqueror's introduction, or this is all centered around another Loki trying to wipe out other versions of himself to make sure he's the only one left, and he's the one that's not going to lose his grip on the timeline, so he can make time be however he wants to see it. I think Sylvie, I hope she sticks around. I hope we get this version of her in the MCU as well. This may also be kind of an origin story for Enchantress, because Enchantress's real name, I believe, is Sylvie as well, and maybe this is her way of going from being a version of Lady Loki to becoming Enchantress, and then we get Enchantress in the MCU. I can see that happening as well. There's a lot of stuff I can see happening, but those are kind of the main points I think that the series is going to lead to. And we do know that all of these Disney Plus series are going to be filtered into the upcoming movies. We'll see what happens with these last 3 episodes, but overall, I thought episode 3 was kind of a slowdown episode, where episode 1 and 2 felt a lot more upkeep with where we were going. And if episode 4 and 5 are going to be some sort of complete shift in the tone of the series, this kind of makes sense if this was kind of a wrap up of the first 3 episodes. There you have it. Those are my thoughts on episode 3 of Loki, entitled Lamentus. Have you seen it? What did you think about it? Comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on it. As always, thank you so much for watching this and all my videos. I really do appreciate it. I really hope that this looks okay, because looking at the what I'm seeing right now, it looks super dark. So hopefully this looks okay. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and you'll check out my episode 4 review when that drops sometime next weekend as well, after the episode comes out. You can follow me on all the social medias listed at the end of the video. You can check out a bunch of videos I have on the channel right now. I have episodes 1 and 2 on the channel as well. I also have a trailer reaction for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings that comes out in September, and I should be seeing Black Widow in like a week or 2. So there will be a review for Black Widow once I see that as well. So hopefully you'll stick around. Hopefully you'll check out all this stuff. You can subscribe to the channel to stay up to date for everything. Share it with your friends. Let them know what I do. So until next time, I will catch you later. Hey, thanks for watching this video. If you did like this video, why not give me a thumbs up and share it with your friends? You can subscribe to the channel by clicking on my gorgeous little face right over there. You can follow me on all the various social media platforms right below. And last but certainly not least, if you've got a few extra minutes, why not check out one of the lovely videos floating right over here. Later.